You are looking there, right behind that gentleman, at Mr. Don Hyde, the host today for our BPA King of Bowling. If Mr. Hyde sticks his head out there, he is the proprietor here of Hyde's Lane.
Look at the bunny rabbit, too.
No relative of Mr. Hyde right there, but he will be here, the Easter Bunny, a little bit later today. All right, championship match. Jim Massie against the King, George Barlow, and Massie just rolling along as he leaves here the 6-10. Dave Newrat, he can't do that against George Barlow.
I wouldn't think so, but we'll see.
We're in week number 9.
He could be our second fellows, win all 3 matches.
Third.
Sure.
This would be the third time.
Yeah,
Sure.
third.
7, 8, 9 weeks.
Sure.
How about that?
Bringing back the 6-10.
George Barlow. Interesting difference in age. George Barlow, 43-year-old king, against the young upstart Jim Massie, 23-year-old UC grad student. Barlow opens with the big X.
Boy, did I catch some flack last week. Tom, I tell you what, we talked about the straight ball of George Barlow. It's a nice, gentle curve, okay? Here it's starting to curve in. And George does that as well as anyone. Perfect. 10 pins in the pit. No deflection. Every pin doing its job. But George Barlow does not throw the big sweeping hook like a Tucky Perez or a lot of the other twisters. But boy, is he accurate.
And that's why he's the king. In week 8, trying to become king of week 9. Barlow last week at Loveland Lanes took out Tom Casey first. Stan Eaton from Dayton second. And Kerry Logan, the then king of week 7, 220 to 208. Jim Massie trying to dethrone George Barlow and become, for the 3rd straight week, the man who starts at the bottom and works his way up. 9-pin took a little coaxing, but it finally fell.
That's right.
And there's a better shot of Mr. Don Hyde and his staff doing a great job here in week 9, as does all the proprietors, Sam Coleman included.
Why, certainly.
Fun to come out, not only to watch us bowl on Sundays, but the other 6 days of the week when you could get out there and bowl yourself, Sam.
Doing a nice spring league. Now's the time. The BPA is going to give away a new car this year, plus TV sets and everything. Look at that.
7-pin just kind of slithered down, Dave.
We're talking about Barlow's straight ball that David mentioned last week, but George throws a nice line ball, I'll tell you.
Jim Massie here on the replay. Look at that ball skidding out, but then all of a sudden digging on the back. Head pin to the wall. The head pin generally doing the damage on the light hits.
Took out the 4-7. I guess it did work overtime. Oh.
Animalistic.
Strike.
Absolutely animalistic. Ripped that rack in half.
Well,
9 weeks, Sam, and we've had 23 participants in the BPA King of Bowling. Is that a high figure for this?
No, it's a little low generally.
And you know why it's a little low? Because Tucky Perez has been on here 8 times.
Is that right? Well, Jim Massie's got a spare and a double, and George is perfect with 3 in a row.
He's perfect again.
Oh, look at that.
He's perfect again. Absolutely great.
I was speaking to him before the match today, and he said, I am just tired. Well, if he is just tired, let us hope he shows up every week this tired.
Well, he's
4 straight.
Conserving energy by only throwing 1 ball of frame.
Oh, that's right. Every time I was on, I was tired to bowl good, and I felt good. I couldn't knock nothing down.
The 2-8 going high, not getting the drive on the back end. This spare is difficult.
Massie checking around the line there, Dave. Notice Marshall Holman was doing that yesterday, too. Something that can develop up there, that footing-wise?
Generally, no, Tom. But, you know, when a player throws a bad shot...
you have to pawn it off on something,
I mean,
right?
You always can't say it was just me. Look out.
Oh.
Drove through and got it. But, you know, generally if you throw a bad shot, something's wrong. The hand didn't feel quite right, or the footing was off for whatever reason. Generally, it's your own fault.
It's like stumbling on the sidewalk and then looking down like
at the crack, right?
Like it's the sidewalk's fault for stumbling.
Yeah.
Looked like Jim had what they called fast feet, Speedy Gonzalez. But he's regrouping right now, I can tell. Here he goes.
Jim Massie.
He regrouped fine.
Spare,
Just fine.
5th frame, the big X. story for George Barlow coming up here. 4 big X's.
4 for 4. That's almost like baseball terms, isn't it?
That's right, batting 1,000.
Get the keys ready, Sam.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
Oh, you know, there we go, with the
Oh.
whammy. With the whammy, here it goes.
I
He'll
can
leave,
feel
he'll
it.
leave the
I can
7-10.
feel it.
Oh. There's 5. Now, Sam, refresh us. When was there ever a 300 game rolled on the BPA King of Bowling?
Bobby Dieters at Stones on Easter Sunday in 1975.
Wow.
We've had 33 in the qualifiers. I made one of those one time.
I got one too, Sam.
That's right. Davey Newrath had one.
We've got some nice looking jewelry to show from the
certainly.
BPA.
Why, positively, them rings.
It's back when we were a little younger.
Oh.
Well, now, come on. Oh.
Week 10, 6-pin going to the gutter and just not quite doing its job. Tom, I hate to sound repetitive, but the BPA has done one heck of a job to promote the game of bowling, especially in the greater Cincinnati area. It's made the game a lot more fun.
No mustard ball, Dave.
Well, the mustard ball or the soft urethane, it's designed to hook a lot. When you're going for a corner pin, you don't want to hook the ball a lot. You want to go slow and you want to go straight. So he changed balls.
So great to have a veritable gold mine of knowledge right next to me, Sam, and Dave Newrath. Jim Massie doing the same thing on the other lane that Barlow did on the left lane. Leave the 10.
Well, there's George has 139 and a fifth with a spare up, and if Jim makes a spare, you have 108 and a spare, so there's going to be a 31-pin spread. So Jim Massey's going to have to go to work. Look at the crowd here. Oh, it's packed in here.
Oh, always on Sunday.
31 pins sounds like a lot, but when we've got 4 frames left, don't go away.
Well, Dave was talking about the BPA. It pays the bowl in the BPA house. That's right. Doing a nice spring summer league right now. Now's the time.
I can't think of anything I'd rather do than to show up at a BPA house and have a couple of cold Ludwigs.
Really?
Bowling, you know?
14K saves a day?
That's right.
Anything else?
Watching Channel 5.
Right. Okay. There it is. The big X.
In between frames.
There we go.
Stay alive on 5, they say?
You bet. Jim Massey, 7th frame, setting up some sort of a down-the-stretch run with a strike, 128 in the 6th. As Sam mentioned, 31 pins right now. If George Barlow doesn't strike, could be cut to 21.
Oh. He did get a break getting the 10-pin knocked out there, but he still left the 3-6.
Well, George is a traffic supervisor out at Beckett Paper Company. Look at George there. Look at that.
He should have advised this traffic not to go quite so far left. He did break it down. He got a very, very good break, leaving the fairly simple, but not always, but not always makeable. 3-6.
You're just one beat off there, Dave. That's all.
Well, it can be getting very interesting now with Jim Massey gets a couple more X's.
George Barlow trying to become a 2-time king this year. The last time that happened was way back in week 4 and 5 when Ray Tucky Perez did it. Since then, we've had Greg Lothian in week 6, Kerry Logan in week 7, and Mr. Barlow in week 8. Jim Massey, if he has anything to say about it,
There's
will
a
be
veteran.
the king.
There's a veteran bowling there, Tom. Lenny Weil used to be a good performer.
Can cut the deficit to 8 pins right here.
Oh, look at that.
It is 8. Dave, don't go away. Let's take a look at the scoreboard, Sam.
Well, Joe Barlow has 166 on a strike up, and Jim Massey has 128 in a double. If he gets one more, it's going to be almost even Steven.
Once again, I can't help but remind you that
There's Bo.
Bo Hudepohl,
Oh, our executive's doing
she
a super
makes it
job.
tick.
Oh, you telling me?
Just a reminder, Jim Massey was not supposed to be here. Rick Hensley couldn't make it. He came in and he got a couple extra pins, but you need strikes at this point of the game, Dave.
2, 4, 5, throwing the ball way too hard. Getting to the line, as Sam says, they had a little road problems and just too aggressive, Sam.
That's right.
Attributed to youth, Dave?
Probably youth, wanting to be come up all the way up, knowing that it's a big step to win all 3 games.
And he picks up the spare. The 2-4-5 spare, not an easy one by any means. A spare in the ninth for Jim Massie.
Well, technically, Barlow's up by 11. He can make it 21 right now with a strike.
That's right. With this strike in the ninth frame, George Barlow could all but run away and hide. This is a big ball. Thank goodness it was a big ball, or else
That's
it might
true.
not have broke down that split, right?
That 10 had visions of standing, Dave.
Could have been disastrous, I'll tell you.
Cincinnati Style, Channel 5, BPA King of Bowling for the 9th straight week. You're watching it here. Please disregard any song you hear by Dave Newrath. Not affiliated with the station whatsoever. As George Barlow takes out the spare, Dave.
I used to be able to say.
I
First soprano.
I bet.
Really? Well, Barlow can get 236 if he goes out, and Barlow can get 236, and Jim Massie can get 225. So this is the Big 10 frame coming up.
11 pins, the deficit, count. A definite factor at this point. 9 or better, George Barlow. Put the pressure on Jim.
There's the 9.
There's the 9. Now, count after this spare, again, becomes critical, right, Sam?
We could wind up with a TIE, they call it.
TIE.
Yeah, that means 9th and 10th frames. Should we
Replay
tie
it.
it all up?
George says, I must be living a good life
Wow.
because the wind blew that one down.
As the fellow says, I knew he had it when it went down.
Let's take a look at this. One less coat of wax on this pin,
Wow.
and he would have missed it. Watch it as the ball just gets ready to drop off into the channel.
Oh,
An eighth of an
boy,
inch.
oh boy.
Look at George.
Wow.
Count.
It's important count he has. The big X.
No, we can still get a tie yet if he goes out.
That's exactly the case.
2-5 for George Barlow, who averaged in 3 games last week 226, so he's right on his average right now. Massie does not have all strikes. George Barlow is the king for the 2nd week in a row here in week 9 of the BPA King of Bowling.
There's
one.
one.
There's one. Sam, quickly, have we ever had a tie at the end of a championship match in the BPA?
We've had a few, not too many.
Jim Massie trying to do it right here. Barlow can do nothing but watch Jim Massie.
If we have a tie, we'll roll a 9th and 10th frame over.
That's right. This is it. Jim Massie, the whole day comes down to this shot right here. No strike, no king. Jim Massie needs them all.
That's what he has to do. Good ball. Jim Massie comes down to 1 ball. Isn't that incredible? We go through an entire hour and the match comes down to 1 ball.
That's exactly right. I'd just like to say thanks, Mom, for letting me be here. You know?
It's up there with presidential inauguration, opening day of baseball.
I mean to tell you.
Super Bowl Sunday. Need I
Bar-
elaborate anymore?
Look at
George Barlow cannot do anything.
Look at Bo down there. Look at her. She don't.
This is it.
10
Could have a
pins
tie. We
on
need
the final ball. He missed the head pin. You can't win if you miss the head pin.
Not too
And
low.
by 3 pins, George Barlow is king over a man who would not have been here had it not been for Rick Hensley canceling out and Jim Massie. When we come back in week number 9, we will present all the money to all the bowlers right here on the BPA King of Bowling.